Welcome to the Sharon Vidano Show. This show is a show of inspiration, stories, tools, mindset where you can grow and ultimately live a life you love. Hello. Welcome to the Sharon Vidano Show. This show. Hello, everyone. Thank you for being here. This is the Sharon Vidano Show, soon to be rebranded called Light Up Your Soul. So I'm very glad to have Marla Press here, speaking coach. Thank you, Marla, for being here.
I'm so excited to be here. We had such a great conversation before, and I'm really looking forward to this one.
Thank you. Thank you. So let me introduce you to my audience. Marla Press is a founder of the Speakers on Fire Academy. She is a high voltage speaking coach, life coach, and art of presence trainer. She coaches you to wow every room so you magnetically attract more clients and wealth. Marla is the author of No Bull, Create Richer You, and one of the select authors of the book Cracking the Rich Code, which is endorsed by Tony Robbins. Marla's mission is to help you speak so people listen. And in her small group programs and her one-on-one coaching, Marla uses cutting-edge speaking techniques, her psychology degree, stagecraft, and energy work to help beginner and experienced speakers grow their business fast. Whether you want to fire up your talk or ignite your storytelling, make others sizzle, make your offer sizzle, heat up your cash flow, or you are ready to be hot off the press. Marla Press here is your coach today.
I'm doing great. Thanks for reading all that. I know that seemed pretty long, but there's a lot to it. So I appreciate that. Yes.
Yes, thank you. And I know that there are a lot of talented speaking coaches out there, and there's a lot of people who are actually being speakers, and they strive to speak on stage, and they're wanting to make an impact. So there are so many people that they can get distracted. So how do you actually grab someone's attention when you're speaking on stage?
And that is the most important thing you can do, right? I often say in my talks, you have to act like your Captain Hook. You have to hook your audience in the first, well, on social media, it's the first 3 seconds. And when you're on stage, maybe you have 10 seconds. That's about it. It's really important to grab that attention and then keep that attention. And there's a lot of ways to do it. There's not just one way. And I don't try to make everybody the same, because depending on your personality, your topic, and your audience, you might tweak it. But here's a couple of things that we all need to know. You want to make people that they're on their phones, they're distracted because they got a million things in their head at one time. And so you have to just grab that attention. And you could do it by asking a question. That's kind of the old way that people were doing a long time ago that sometimes works. If you have a good question, if you wait for the answer. Because here's a mistake that a lot of speakers make is they'll ask questions, raise your hand if, and people are going like this. And next thing you know, it just doesn't mean anything. So if you're going to ask a question, make it a good one. Make it one that everybody, or at least 90% of your audience, are going to say yes to. And then make it one that's meaningful and that, of course, is in alignment with what you're going to say next. So question is one way. Another way is a story. Stories are so powerful if they're told in a compelling way. So stories are great, and there's a whole art to that. So we won't take the deep dive into that right now, but it's story, ask a question, or a statistic. And again, with a statistic, it's got to be something a little unusual. It's got to be totally relevant to what you're talking about. And don't make it a whole bunch of numbers and get them lost in the statistic. It just is supposed to grab their attention right away.
Wow, and those are really great tools. And what an amazing statistic. 3 seconds on social media, that's it.
I know, it's
we have to be very crafty and skilled on how we actually have that question or the story or even the statistic to just really grab them in that first 3 seconds. That's incredible. So that's crazy. So okay, so once you get them, so once we hook them, we got them. What are the best ways to actually keep them? How do we keep the audience engaged?
Yes. So that's the other thing too. People will focus on just grabbing attention and then the rest doesn't keep attention. So it's really important when you grab the attention, of course, again, you want it to be logically moving in the same direction your entire talk. Whether you're talking for 1 minute or whether you're talking for an hour, everything should be leading to the next step or the call to action. So everything should be inspiring them in a certain journey so they get to that next step in a logical and emotional and in an inspiring way, so that you're not just given a bunch of information. The next thing you say, buy my program, and it doesn't feel good, right? And usually the speaker doesn't come off very well either because their energy tanks at that point. So how do you keep attention? There's so many ways. I do a talk, 10 surefire ways to engage your audience. There's at least 10 different ways. Well, let's talk about a couple of biggies. One is do a activity. If you do an activity, it can be something as simple as, if you're on Zoom and there's just a bunch of squares there, turn to your right and say something to the person next to you. Now, that they may not hear it, but it's a movement. It's a physical movement and it's an activity. So on Zoom, so that it's different when you're on stage versus on Zoom. I'll say a few things about Zoom and then we'll say a few things about being in person, because you should be doing both as a speaker, right? We need to be online and we need to have that other connection in person. So you can be doing so many different types of activities when you're in online. You could just have people give you thumbs up. What most people do by far is just put a 1 in the chat, put me in the chat. And that's something. It's getting them to do something, but it's not unique enough. And it's also not enough movement in their mind, either physically or emotionally or mentally. So it's more important to think, how else can you do it? You can say, wave at me. You could say, give me a thumbs up. You can say, give me a thumbs down. You can say, stand up, even if you're on Zoom. There's a lot of ways you can have people move or get engaged. And a lot of times I'll take a volunteer from the audience and take them through an exercise. And everybody gets to witness a transformation in real time. That's engaging. We're all voyeurs. We all love watching other people, or it's like an accident happening on the highway. You can't turn away. So it's really, really powerful to do that type of exercise if you have the time. If you have 10 minutes or less for your talk, you probably don't want to do that. You want to just keep the whole group totally engaged. But if you have a little more time, activities like that are very powerful. So I'll pause there for a moment just to see if there's any questions, because we want to engage you in the audience now. I know there's people listening online and there's people that are going to watch the replay. Either way, we'd love to hear your comments. So if you comment, we'll put it up here on the screen. If you have a question, we'll answer your question. So I'd love to engage all of you listening right now.
Yes. So while we're waiting for some of those questions to come in, I like the fact that you're saying that we're bringing in the engagement of the audience. And I think part of it, and I'm going to come from a life coach perspective, it's almost like a refocusing and a pattern interrupt, moving the energy a little bit so that they're not just dialing in and then maybe they start to tune out. It's like, oh, wait, something's happening, so I have to refocus. So I like that. That's really getting everyone engaged within the energy and moving the energy in that one as well. So that's wonderful.
I love that you said that, because that's my languaging also. I love that. Yes, that's what you do as a speaker, is every few minutes you want to do a pattern interrupt, because you have to re-engage their attention and re-engage their attention. And that can be, so we talked about a few ways to do that. It's the hook, it's storytelling, it's statistics, it's an activity, it's having them move, physically move. And when you're in person, of course, you have a lot more ability to get people to move. You could have them do their own exercise where you're just sort of facilitating it, and they're having a dyad or a small group, or they're writing some things, so you give them some time to think and write. So there's a lot of ways when you're in person that you can always engage people, but to keep it moving along, yes, that pattern interrupt, really, really important. You can also do that with a sudden mic drop moment. And you want to sprinkle, don't have too many of them, but sprinkle mic drop moments throughout your talk, no matter how long it is. You want to start with something that's like a mic drop, end with an emotional mic drop, and sprinkle in between different phrases or a single sentence that really gets them. And they go, oh, yeah, it's Usually there's some emotional tone to it. It also could be just sort of a surprising thing, or just a really strong statement that's going to make them sit up and think.
I like that. I like that. I do have a question here. So to add to that, so those are some of the Zoom mic drop moments. I'm assuming you could do that Zoom as well as on stage, correct? So is there any ways to engage people who, if you're speaking on stage live?
How to engage people that are when you're in person?
Yes, in a live audience. Yes, in person.
Yeah. So we just mentioned, you can do a lot of the same things. You can certainly bring a volunteer up on stage and do a transformation, or a hot seat, or laser coaching, whatever you want to call it. But something that's just one volunteer. You can bring a group up. You can have them go into dyads. You can get them to, you can tell a story that brings them in. And then you can have people, comment and talk about, what they got out of that, or how that relates to their situation. So you can have conversations back and forth. Again, it depends on how big the audience is. If you've got, 1,000 people, you probably are going to do something very different than if you have 50 people in the room or 30 people in the room. So it does depend on the audience. But let's just say this: the more you engage people, the more they invest in you, the more they will invest in the next step.
That makes sense. That makes sense. Those are all wonderful golden nuggets, and I appreciate that. Thank you for sharing. And so, when you have an audience, what are the best tips to inspire an audience to take the next step? So you're talking about possibly in working with you. So what is the best way to inspire them to actually take that next step?
Yes. So a few things. One, we mentioned in the beginning of having it be a journey you're taking them through during that talk. So it just makes sense that it would be the next step. So everything leads to that. A mistake that a lot of speakers make is they have so much information. They want to give it all to you because they want to, think the more value I give, the better. But it's actually not true, because number one, we can't take in that much information. Number two is, if you're already bombarded with information. So you want it to be chunked information, and all lead to that next step. And so there's a lot of stories, a lot of teaching points that you might have to save for when they do your masterclass or do your next program, and not try and give it all at once. And people also over explain things. That's another big mistake that I see people do. And I have an exercise, because you can't intellectualize some of these changes. So I take people through exercises for all the transformation that I do in my coaching. And I have an exercise for how to say more with less.
That's beautiful. So it's almost like you're giving your talk, or basically your talk is almost like a trailer. It's giving them, piquing the interests, getting them engaged, and then but you're gonna leave them with wanting more. So
yes, exactly. Yes. So you want to do that through emotional content also. And it doesn't have to be the kind of emotion. It can be laughter. Laughter is an emotion, and What's great about laughter too is that it relaxes people. So they're more likely to take in whatever your suggestion is. It relaxes people and it brings emotion and it brings movement. So I use laughter and humor more than I use something that's fear-based or about trauma. But it depends on your topic, right? It depends on your personality, your topic, your own personal story. If you're going to use a trauma story, there's ways to do that, to not make it about you and to bring the audience into the story. I said storytelling is that's a whole talk in itself, how to be a good storyteller. But just know that if you can make people laugh, then you got it made. And you want to do that numerous times during your talk. And it's not about telling jokes, right? I'm a terrible joke teller. It's not, yeah, don't ask me to tell you a joke because I won't do it. But, if you can just make people smile and laugh, it keeps their attention and it keeps them inspired to want more, right? Because it's a good feeling. They want to feel good. And yes, if you're talking about, you're a cancer survivor or a trauma accident or other types of trauma, if that's your topic, then you can tell that story and then move them to hope by making it lighter. People think, well, I'm talking about suicide. I have to be very serious. Mm-mm. If you're talking about something really serious, you need to have that so they identify with it, but then you need to move them to positivity and smiling and be able to think, that there's hope and this is how I want to feel. So I want to take the next step.
Wow, those are such great tips. And I know that I'm going to be a better speaker for it. Thank you so much. And I know many of my audience members who are aspiring speakers and speakers already are going to really run away with this and just love all the tips that you just given us. So thank you so much.
Yeah.
Now, if they want to go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say, because I think we have a few more minutes.
Yes.
What we haven't talked about at all, which to me is the most important thing, and that is your energy. And that's not a woo-woo thing. We all communicate with energy. We all receive it. We all give it, and we're usually not that conscious of it. But how I like to make it practical is to say, let's say you meet somebody in a grocery store line or at a meeting, and they look okay. They're dressed well. They're not saying anything that's too weird, but you get this creepy feeling from them, or you just feel like you don't trust what they're saying. That's their energy. And that comes through louder than words every time. And just like speakers that are on the stage, any stage on Zoom, whatever it is, if you have a message and your body language, your facial expression isn't congruent with your words, if you have a stiff body, if you're pacing, if you're on stage, that is what's going to come through far louder than your words. So it's really, really important to not just master your body language and your facial expression. That's part of your energy, but it's this thing we can't totally explain. It's this presence that, again, I take people through exercises when we have more time to have you experience what it feels like to master your energy and be in your full body presence. So when you communicate from that place, people are magnetized. They are drawn in. And it's not just charisma, high energy. Some people think, oh, well, that's not me. I can't do that. It's this quality of your energy that draws people in. And if you take nothing else away from this, yes, there's a lot of ways to engage audiences and you want to know how to do that, but start with mastering your presence.
I love that. I love that you gave so many strategies in our time together here today, but really topping it off that it's not just about the strategies, it's about the energy and the mindset behind it. That's really the foundation to everything. Because if you don't have that energy, like you're saying, everything else is not going to be delivered in a way that can be really attractive to your audience. Your message is not going to get across. It's almost like you're in your own way. So I love that the energy is the foundation to all of it. So thank you so much. Is there anything else? I know I tried to cut you off. I'm sorry. Is there anything else? I just want more.
Well,
you're willing to stay on. Let's talk some more.
we could talk for hours. I mean, come on.
I know.
Yes, but I do. There's so much to the art of speaking. There's science to it. There's psychology to it. There's psychology to what an audience wants and how to really connect and build trust. And what I tell people too, this is another big takeaway, is you need to balance entertainment, keeping that attention engaging, entertainment with connection and trust. And it almost feels like you can't do them at the same time. And it doesn't have to be 50-50. Again, not everybody's the same, but how can you tweak what you've got so that you have enough entertainment and enough building trust and connection so that you have people be inspired to take the next step every time.
That's beautiful. And it sounds like the more you do it, the more you can, and obviously work with you so you can fine tune that and really get the most of your knowledge and your training and your coaching. But once you get that balance and you fine tune it, you can really achieve that balance. And it may be hard at first, but once you get it, it's going to be really magnetic.
Yes, absolutely. And that's what we're going for, right? Because we do need to draw people in. You know, people have so many choices these days, and there's so much noise out there online. And even, you know, there's more than enough speaking gigs. So people say, you know, their biggest challenge is finding speaking gigs. They're everywhere. They're everywhere. You have to know how to search for them and get them, and then what you need to have in place to be successful and to be asked back. So there is a lot to that also, but it's really important to just get out there. You can do something like this. Do a live on social media. It doesn't cost you anything. You can do it 5 minutes from now when we end this. You can do your own live. So get out there, tell your message. And
beautiful. Beautiful. I see that we have your website scrolling down below. So that's how my audience can get a hold of you.
Yeah, so down there it says speakwithmarla.com, and that is, you can just set up a chat. You can also set up a hot or not speaker eval where so Speakers on Fire Academy, I use that hot theme a lot, but you can set up a hot or not speaker eval where you can bring any part of your storytelling, your talk, your offers, any part of your talk, and we will see what's hot and what needs more spark. So that is complimentary to everyone on this call. And it is a deep dive one-on-one with me to give you a lot of value. And then if you already know that you want more and you really want to take a deeper dive, I have a 3-hour workshop coming up that is a lab where we absolutely will change your offer, your beginning and end of your talk, and your storytelling, so that, and your energy, don't forget that, your presence and your energy, we will work on that through exercises to say more with less exercise. You will get all those exercises that we won't have time for in just the short time with me. And that is coming up. I have two options for opting into that coming up real soon. And yeah, I can't wait to talk with you.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Thank you for coming on the show. I'm sure this will serve my audience, and they're going to continue to grow. And I just love having beautiful people like yourself that are willing to share their wisdom. So thank you again for coming.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate you, and we'll see you next time.
Bye. Thank you.
All right. So yes, we're not ending yet, folks. Wait, there's more. There's more.
There's more. Thank you for coming to the Sharon Vidano Show. I hope you had an amazing time, and I hope this episode served you. My intention is to help you live a life you love. If you love the show, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, and I'll see you in the next episode.
Yes, so thank you all. We had a tiny little glitch in there, but you know what? Technology is fun, right? We're having fun with it.
Good.
All
It's
right,
all
we'll see
good.
you next time.
Bye.